Hey everybody, this is Dark Artsman, and we're back with another video. So I'm a couple days behind on uploading videos, so this will be 2 days since the last video, and I'm currently working on editing episode 4 and 5 for the Let's Play series. And we'll eventually record episode 6 either sometime today or tomorrow, and we'll get that all set up. Anyways, to kind of fill in some content and go on, I kind of want to show off what I have been working on the last couple days. This is one of many things I've been working on. So this will probably be a little bit in the front of one of the Let's Play videos too, where I kind of show this off and talk about it as well. I'm working on a block logging mod. So there is a few of these that do exist, and some of them are okay, some of them do work. I'm unfortunately on 1.7.10 for a couple of the servers I am running at the moment, so I do need a actual mod that does work, that is not Bucket or is not some kind of plugin driven system like Sponge, although I don't think Sponge exists in 1.7. In newer versions, Sponge does exist, and I believe there is a few decent plugins for it that do work really well. But because I need one now, we've gone ahead and made one. Now, the original version, which will be showed off in the front of the Let's Play, is a flat file driven version. For those who don't know what flat file means, basically you have a text file that does get created. I can actually show this off because we have the server actively running right now with the plugin on it at the moment. So if I go into the Volts test server and go into custom here and to configs, and if I can find what I'm looking for, BBM action logger. The file name has already been changed at least once now. So it does actually store huge amounts of logs. It saves right now with the old version of once a minute, which is not a very bright idea on my part. It's actually causing some CPU spikes on the server. But it will create a file, it will create it for the date, whatever, and it will go in here. If I can actually hit view and edit, I can then track who's doing what at what time and what's been going on. So for example, we can see that... How does somebody get their name to set the mechanism? That is actually somebody's username, by the way. Well, we can see that they've been mining ore and everything else. I actually think this might be the fake player from Mechanism, which I'm going to have to remove fake players from the list. But you can see what's been going on and kind of what blocks have been breaking. And at the moment, I'm just now finishing up some of the database support. So with the database, if I can come over here, so we actually do have a database set up locally to work with this. The server that I actually am running will have its own database, but here's the current database just running by itself. It right now has interaction. So every time you right click error, whatever, it'll track that. It'll tell me what I've right clicked, left clicked. On top of this, I'm just now getting the block breaking implemented. I have to slowly go through and re-add everything. So when we had the flat file version, was actually tracking block breaks, placement, interaction, and then for the entities it was tracking pickup, death, attack, hurt, and join world. And the plan is to eventually get this to pick up on tons of other events, including events from other mods and everything else, so I can get a really nice, reliable data stream coming in, so that way if somebody does something stupid on the server, or even if we just have a bug, I can then go back through the data logs via the database and search for who did what, when, and so on. Now let me go ahead and get this showed off. So I haven't tested it since I added the block break, so we're going to hit or miss if it actually launches. I'm hoping it does launch. I've kind of got back in the rhythm of doing database work. It's been a really long time since I've actually messed with databases. More recently, when I actually do websites and stuff, I actually use libraries to do all the database work for me because it's just a pain to deal with. So when I do like web development stuff, it has a backend, say for like a Java servlet system. There are libraries that you can make that you can just go, okay, here's the object I want to store, and it just does all the work for you. It'll create the tables and do all that work. So this actually, I think, did actually launch. Let me close down that window. Check the logs really quick. So we've got no errors. Well, actually, we aren't going to get any errors until it actually does load. Because it does all the database stuff on servers load. Tell me I'm deprecated on that. Failed to find block break, created table. So this actually did create the table. If we actually come over here, and I go back to my action logger database, I now have two tables, block break and interaction. We should be able to go to block break and it should say basically there's nothing going on, because that's an empty actual database file. We get into the world, time set day. I might add logging for commands. I'm not quite sure if I really care enough to do this. But I can sit here and I can break blocks, and then if I come over here to the actual database, it should theoretically put stuff in here. Hold on. We messed up our database statement. Block break. Yeah, I've got too much data in here. because I need to switch these two numbers. 6, 7. The good thing is that it is set up to, if we get errors, it will not discard the data. It actually will hold on to the data. That's the reason why we keep seeing this happening over and over again. So if I reload and hit play again, I should be able to get on the bottom, and we shouldn't see another error happen again. Just to help with this, I can clear the console, and we can pop back in, and it should work. And I should be able to break blocks again, and not only do the blocks I just broke should enter the database, the previous one should enter as well because of the safety system. So here we go, we got some stuff here. So it's detecting item in hand. It does store the time as a long. I may switch to a date format. I got to do a little bit more work on this to see which is more advantageous, because we're going to have to scan through this data with commands at some point. But we got the dimension, we've got the XYZ. I am considering maybe doing a separate database table for these. So when making databases, you do have this option. You can create multiple database tables and then have the tables linked to each other with foreign keys. And what we could do is, instead of storing the XYZ here, we could store a foreign key to that position. Because say, for example, we had the same person breaking and placing blocks repeatedly in the same spot, we could then say this will be database entry number 3 for the location. And then we can maybe, instead of using the dim ID of world, we can then use a foreign table for that, going, okay, this is dimension 0 on the ID, but this happens to be overworld, or this is dimension 13, which happens to be the moon, so you aren't like going through here and trying to figure out what the dimension IDs are and everything else. Same thing for the handheld item stuff. We can actually start tracking database table entries with this and go, okay, here's the items, here's their keys, and the whole reason for doing that is one, it reduces the footprint of how much data, and then I definitely should make a user table so that way you don't see the user UUID here and everything else. Although this is a fake user ID because I am local, and this is just generated over to my login. But it does store data. It will tell me the block, the meta, the tile. There is no tile at the moment for breaking this. But say, for example, if we did pull the chest out. I haven't tested this yet, but I kind of do want to test it now. Place a chest, and we broke it. And let's go pop back over to our database. Reload. We should see tile ID chest. It'll tell me the chest is. I could theoretically, instead of putting a tile here, I could put a foreign key to a table entry. And in that table entry, I could have it store exactly what was in that chest when it was broken, or what the machine data was. So then when you're replacing somebody's machine, say for example, you were restoring grief damage, say somebody like set off a nuke and blew up everything else, you could restore it to exactly what it was, within reason. I mean, for example, if somebody picked up all the tile, or picked up all the items dropped in the chest, of course you wouldn't want to restore it right away, but it gives you some power. Anyways, that's what I'm pretty much working on at the moment, and I'll probably show this off a little bit more in action when I start getting commands, because some of the commands, and potentially I'm going to do a client-side GUI for this as well, between those two things, those should make this a really nice mod to have installed on a server, that when I go to update this to 1.12, it would actually be able to compete with other mods that already do the same behavior system. Anyways, I'll see you guys later with some more content videos.